we've seen Greg debase himself in front of us many times. He is a man that got so broken up with it might as well have been a divorce. Okay, we're in uncharted territory here. I was unaware that you could get just regular broken up with and it would count as a divorce. It was upgraded. It's like when you get bumped to first class, but it's for breakups. So he's out here, selling his ranch and getting into weird relationships with his fans and shit. And also, eventually he starts the conspiracy theory thing. And now we're at the point where the Foo Fighters riddle solved. Now, we had decided as a community to like skip this McPlatypus, I believe, or was it McPlatypus or was it Gnome Pickles? One of you dove into this and said, no, this is pretty crazy. You should check it out. And it was McPlatypus, and because I had selected this a few days ago. Perfect. Thank you so much. Because apparently this is something else, and it's just wacky. I have been told this is some unhinged stuff. So I'm pretty excited about this. I have no idea what the Foo Fighters riddle is. I assumed it was the band. Maybe it's something else.
Angels from heaven. They are real. Often depicted in art.
Ooh, is that a space whale?
And film as space whales or even space brains, as they're often described as beings of light. People believe that heaven...
Are angels often depicted as space whales? That's a claim. Is that a thing? I didn't know that.
Heavenly angels are intelligent balls of plasma floating through the cosmos. Many have theorized that people were well aware of this phenomenon in the Renaissance period, as several paintings from the medieval to Renaissance era depict angelic imagery, suggesting artists understood these angelic beings better than we do today. During the 1940s, several pilots and aircrew reported seeing balls of light dancing around their aircraft while flying over the English Channel and Western Europe. The American Air Force would usually see these entities appearing around their flying fortresses as they would approach their targets in France and Germany, bobbing in and out of view, following along with their
new emote. This is I'll consider it. We should get probably a better cut, but this is a great rough draft.
Large aircraft formations, as if these balls of light were aliens observing human activity during world conflict. This phenomenon was known as Foo Fighters, and to this day, there has never been a good explanation as to what was happening back then. So, is that what Foo Fighters were? Did angels come back to Earth from heaven during a time of world conflict in the beginning of the nuclear age to witness humanity's most gruesome war? Are Foo Fighters intelligent balls of plasma from outer space? No. No, you fucking idiot. Obviously not. I am the skeptic, for Christ's sake. I have an answer for everything. I mean, a joke answer for the fictional history film that I'm making? Yeah, I mean, aliens are real. Just have fun with this, please. I started thinking about the
So yeah, that was obviously him dressed himself as Jesus. I mean, we can go back to it. He's somewhere back here. Was that? Wait.
Or are Foo Fighters intelligent balls of plasma? You fucking idiot. Obviously not. I am the.
Yeah, I mean, like. Yeah. Yeah, that's Greg. He thinks he's Jesus. Like a reincarnation of Jesus, and he's here to save the world from the plasma with his warnings, his YouTube videos, which are his warnings.
For the fictional history film that I'm making? Yeah,
it's fine.
I mean, aliens are real. Just have fun with this, please. I started thinking about the Foo Fighter riddle a few weeks back, and when trying to piece it together, I found a lot of strange correlations between technologies that were being tested back then by both the Axis and Allied militaries.
Okay, so we've been doing this series for some time. This is the playlist. We've done them, pretty much all of them, and they're on. Actually, we need to do artificial intelligence and the zones. But we've watched all these. We have them uploaded on the video. Or on the YouTube channel. The videos are uploaded. And you can watch this. He has a grand unifying conspiracy theory that essentially boils down to he is the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. Greg is, personally. And he is here to warn us about how the world ends, and it's tearing him apart, Lisa. Again, it's like he never grew out of middle school. Yeah, it's pretty cool fanfic.
And the bizarre cults and religions that the elites were practicing back in the 1940s. It's not all perfectly connected to the UFOs, but the story that they all tell together is 1,000 times more interesting than the Foo Fighters themselves. I've covered several UFO stories on this channel over the years, debunked a good fair few of them, and I damn near almost included the Foo Fighters in my Tell Me More series. But I'm really happy that I didn't, because this is very different from all of those stories. The Germans were accused of communicating with
vocal fry. Thanks for the 100 biddies. I mean, thanks for the 100 biddies.
With interdimensional beings or aliens or something, using the priestesses from the Vril Society as medians. Theories like that have flown.
just this. Great illustration. Am I Chunibyo? Is that correct? Chunibo. I'm probably not enunciating correctly because it's Japanese, and I'm using my flat American vocal. Anyway, it's a Japanese colloquial term typically used to describe early teens who have grandiose delusions.
It's a weeb thing.
Sure. Can you say the word?
It's usually called chuni or chunibyo. It's like
Chuni?
Yeah. Chuni is a shortened word, and it's usually used derogatorily towards people with main character energy.
All right. This guy has main character energy for sure.
Blown around for a really long time, that these beings were the ones that taught the Germans how to build technology like UFOs.
These were the guys that taught the Germans?
Like radar. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know that I do not believe in aliens. I don't believe that that stuff is true. And I didn't want to believe that this story had to have a supernatural explanation. So far, not a single story I've covered on this channel has needed one. I feel like everything that I've learned from Sir Isaac Newton and Tesla for this series is all that I need to answer this riddle. I know this is probably not the best place to debut yet another one of my crazy scientific theories.
Debut a scientific theory. I love the way he talks about his like there's such a different energy between, man, I'm really into this conspiracy theory, and I'm brilliant. Let me tell you about the truth. You know?
Clearly, I sound like a lunatic describing this shit. Look, you guys are like the only people I even really know, so this is what you have to deal with today, okay? But before we get to that...
Oh, fuck, man. Like, oh boy, dude. Did you just hear that?
People I sound like a lunatic describing this shit. Look, you guys are like the only people I even really know.
It has the juice.
Greg, this is a lot, man. You're falling apart here. He lost weight not because he's getting healthier, but because he's not eating as he stares at his fucking rune wall. Oh. Yeah. All right, so you're about to get an ad. Enjoy.
From their descriptions, Foo Fighters sounded like they were an example of ball lightning, a somewhat rare phenomenon that has been recorded multiple times throughout history. Usually, ball lightning appears naturally during high-energy electrical storms, thunderstorms. Plasma seems to find a way to collect entirely on its own into a ball, and it dances and hovers around the air. On rare occasion, it has been recorded to even enter homes and structures.
Ball lightning. Not a spell. A rare and unexplained phenomenon. Are you using pictures from the fucking... a rare and unexplained phenomenon? When's the last time it happened? Historical accounts. 1960. A ball lightning had been seen by 5% of the population. In 1960. When's the last... When is a case of one of these? Has any of them happened recently? Tsar Nicholas saw one. Wow. We're getting... Ooh, there we go. A massive thunderstorm front of retired Liebenberg, Lower Austria, saw a blinding CG lightning to the northeast. A burning object with licking flames that followed a wavy trajectory along the local road about 15 meters.
It has the juice?
For about 2 seconds. So, like, we're talking about people's, like, claims that maybe ball lightning is a thing? I didn't even know that was, like, so... Yeah, okay. So I could see a scenario where, you know, natural forces ignite some kind of energy in the air and it looks like ball lightning. Sure. Ball lightning is as real as spontaneous combustion sounds about it. But I could believe that you could see something that you would describe as the phenomenon of ball lightning and it's just not a thing. Like, conceptually, it's not real. But, like, you know, our feeble human brains misinterpret information yet again. You know what I mean? I can believe that something occurred that people have seen that they describe as this phenomenon incorrectly. Anyway, but I'm a reasonable guy. That's just how I'm thinking, you know.
People sometimes
no real video evidence. Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, so I guess that what I'm imagining is like, you know, literally any scenario when you don't know the science behind how something works and you see it happen, you're like, yeah. And someone's like, hey, have you ever seen ball lightning? And they're like, what's ball lightning? And you say, oh, a bright light that you couldn't explain. And they go, yeah, I guess I have. You know what I mean? 5% of all people have seen a bright light they can't explain? Sure, yeah.
aware that these balls of plasma behave as if they're intelligent, as if they're being either playful or somehow deliberate with their movements. Hence, why they are UFOs. Now, this kind of behavior should be impossible, as electricity will naturally find a ground to which it can arc, especially during an electrical storm when the...
Is this a long exposure, or was this... It's gotta be. I feel like it'd be crazy if lightning struck all at once at the same time like this. You'd be so fucking palpable. You'd be able to feel that energy in the air. That'd be crazy though. Imagine if there was like hundreds of simultaneous strikes. It'd be cool.
Earth and atmosphere are literally exchanging electrons in an attempt to reach electrical equilibrium. There should not just be random balls of plasma dancing around in the air completely ignoring that process, unless we are missing something. I've never seen one, but every witness that I've interviewed has always said the same thing. When I asked if that ball of light looked like it could have been bait at the end of a fishing string that was being dragged along the sky to get your attention, they always say that's exactly how it behaved. Which leads me to think that those balls of light are somehow attached or quantum locked to something else in some way. Nobody in the meantime...
Look on the SA. What is he talking about? This is a drone.
mainstream scientific community has ever managed to build a working model of ball lightning on paper or in a laboratory, the phenomenon remains mostly a giant mystery in and of itself. But it is agreed that ball lightning is a real thing that has happened and will happen again. Most ball lightning seems to not be intelligent, though. The first story I ever heard said that they were following power lines. And people have always said that UFOs follow the grid lines of our magnetic field in the...
So now what you're following power lines. So now it's people who don't understand electricity at the turn of the century when electricity starts becoming a thing, and they see a spark of light that's too bright for them to really like look at directly and understand the shape of, and they describe it as a round thing. Like near... Come on, dude.
The sky as if they're
Why are we
stuck
assuming
to
they're
the
ghost
sheets of the ionosphere.
orbs?
And as stupid as that sounds, that's possible because our magnetic field really is a mesh grid. The toroidal field around the Earth is shaped like an interwoven basket, as if it's a spider web. And many have theorized for a long time that these UFOs seem to follow that natural grid pattern, which would explain why UFOs often make 90-degree turns at speed. What makes the Foo Fighters unique, however, is that there is no other time in history that ball lightning has been recorded with such frequency in such a localized display. It's a statistical anomaly, meaning that something very special and unique was happening in the 1940s that never happened before that and has never happened again since. So all I have to do is figure out what that one thing is, and we answer not only what the Foo Fighters were, but what ball lightning is in general. Yes, I am that smart. Maybe they aren't aliens or angels. I think that it's impossible to deny that the Foo Fighters are somehow correlated to World War II and airplane technology. Clearly, something was going on in the 1940s that was causing this phenomenon to occur semi-regularly around aircraft over Europe. The most puzzling part of the ball lightning mystery is how... Yeah, that's it. How? Like... How is the electricity forming mid-air? How is the electricity not arcing to a ground? That should be impossible, right? The answer is ball lightning forms around a monopole. All right? It has a monopole. Thank you and good night. Okay, that doesn't really answer the problem. It just creates a new problem. How in the is it forming a monopole?
It's just it's a lot. It's a lot to ask for an audience to just sort of stay inside your internal monologue without actually cluing everybody in on everything all the time. Like, I'm still reeling from why he was laughing earlier. Like, is that a real laugh? He confuses me greatly. Like, his entire personality confuses me greatly. So he's gone from the leap. The ball lightning must be just a monopole thing. Now we're doing this. We're proving ball lightning. He has a lot of theories, man. He sure does change a lot of reality to fit his stuff. But what if it just worked this way? All right.
This became a chicken and the egg thing for me because I couldn't decide if the monopole appears in the atmosphere first and then the electricity forms around that, or if the electricity was collecting on its own and then that very act was necessitating the creation or the invitation of a monopole, or is it just simply there's a piece of metal floating in the air around which the electricity begins to form? Dramatic pause. The microwave is one
So fun that this was in a series after slavery never ended, where you largely agree with him. I know, right?
of the most important individual technologies to have been developed in the modern era. We all know how useful it is for cooking alone. It's the safest, fastest, cleanest way to heat our food and make it healthy to eat. Microwaves are also integral.
Wait, what makes microwaving the healthiest way to eat food? What? Is he just coping?
For communication. We can use it for basic radio conversations, but microwaves are still used today to bounce signals off of satellites in orbit to distant locations.
No, what it does is it boils the water, essentially. Like it's not the same.
But in the 1940s, the most common and important use for microwaves was invented: radar. Invisible light is transmitted from the radar source, and a dish reads what light is reflected back from the radar source, telling the operator how many objects are flying in the air or are floating on the ocean. When we look back, people will say the champion of World War II was the Jeep or the jet engine.
Dude, that was, when they landed, that's gonna hurt like a motherfucker, bro. Ain't no way.
Or the nuke or the tank, but really between the microwave and advancements in radio communication, World War II was the war of invisible light. Suddenly, both Axis and Allied nations had a new variety of tricks to use against each other. Radar was the real champion of World War II because it allowed for more accurate aerial night operations for bomber groups, as well as earlier warnings for incoming attacks, allowing for faster responses in defense to air attacks. But early magnetrons were crude, and they were just pumping raw electricity through these things, hoping to get some sort of basic information about any other air traffic, its distance, its direction, and speed. We take for granted today that radar equipment is reliably purpose-built, but the first radars were just microwaves that could see a little bit. They didn't initially have the ability to give you much information about what they were seeing. It wouldn't be until the later half of World War II when an Australian woman managed to tune the first radar system to be able to tell the difference between different kinds of air traffic.
Dude, she looks fucking miserable. She's like, fuck these guys. This is stupid.
Such as a Japanese bomber versus a commercial flight. But that was the art of radar, not the heart of its function. See, this was before the invention of the microwave oven. These engineers didn't fully appreciate the capabilities of the technology with which they were playing. Nobody considered that pumping all these microwaves into the air could have an effect on the atmosphere, or on anything at which they pointed their magical radar device.
Radar?
Have you ever seen what happens to a metal fork when you
I would bet that the natural radiation in the air has only increased with technology over the course of time. Like what?
You leave it in the microwave oven, like, or even
way more
than just some tinfoil? It does this. Microwaves plus metal equals plasma. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Foo Fighter. Do not try this at home, kids. But if you did, you'd have a Foo Fighter in your home. But don't do it. So a fleet of German fighters 100 kilometers away is not going to feel the effects of radar coming off of an American flying fortress? But what if a fleck of metal spits out of the exhaust of an American Mustang fighter escort at the front of a fleet of bombers, and that fleck of metal is hit by the collective radar coming off of several bombers in that fleet at extremely close range? Well,
okay. I don't think that doesn't sound like it would work. Some flecks of metal amongst the radar? You know that there's more than flecks of metal amongst all this radar right now, right? There doesn't just need to be an isolated fleck for it to be, like, overcome.
I think that fleck of metal might light up with plasma, and that plasma would have no ground to which it can go. It will be stuck on that metal. So I propose that metal is being forced to become monopolar in that process. And now that it is a monopole, instead of operating within relation to Earth's gravity and the Earth's electromagnetic field, it's going to work in conjunction connection with the source of the radar. It will now be in quantum lock with an airplane. Quantum lock is when two isolated magnets are bound to each other's magnetic fields, yet are isolated from each other with some distance. This is an effect of electromagnetism and requires specific criteria to create these circumstances. But magnets are some crazy shit, and I promise that you guys don't even know the half of it.
Why is he talking like that? What is that shit? It was off-putting, and it made me irritated immediately.
Now that the Foo Fighter is magnetically aligned with the radar and not with the atmosphere, this ball of plasma would want to follow along and dance between the aircraft.
It doesn't seem plausible that they get fucking locked together like this. God damn it.
As it's the aircraft that are forming the
magnets.
Foo Fighters' very existence. So they lock onto their source, the monopolar fleck of metal being propelled by the large microwave field that's formed around the fleet. I mean, please think about this for one goddamn second.
Yeah, it doesn't sound plausible whatsoever.
Why are airports and military facilities the most common places we see UFOs? Because there's cajillions of radar dishes there. My favorite part, though, is the shape of a microwave. Yeah, they're literal waves, but I mean, like, what direction does a microwave take after it's ejected out of the magnetron? After the electricity passes through the spinning magnet, it first goes straight up and then makes a giant flowing figure 8 shape, kind of like wings. And then from there, it goes up a little bit further and then starts to spin around in a little ring.
It has the juice?
Or because they're airports where tons of flying things go to. True.
Like a halo. So I guess you could say, in a way, the Foo Fighters really were angels.
Wow. Next section? Next section?
That's pretty cute. When you think
That's pretty cute. I guess so.
about it, you can almost see the modern microwave as the angel of destruction. Now, because of radar, a jet that's over the horizon can send a missile to take out your jet before you even know that it's there. The full microwave outline here, it's always been a little bit clunky to me, you know? We can shorthand this and make it a little bit tighter. What do you say? First, if we just cut the halo in half and just make it a letter P, it's way faster to draw. And then instead of drawing a full figure 8, you can just sketch in a quick letter X right in the middle. And there you go. World War II was caused by that right there. That's the thing that started the war, guys. There's your culprit. And one of these days, we're gonna figure out who this is, god damn it.
Was it the
It has
Catholics?
the juice?
Was it the Catholics? Why won't this go back? Why? What? It's like a Catholic thing, right? Isn't it? It looks like it. Hold on. Catholic symbol. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I'm not a Chiro. It's the it's the earliest forms of Christogram, formed by superimposing the first two capital letters chi and rho of the Greek word Christos. So yeah, it's like So Jesus, was it Jesus?
This
Started it. You did it.
God damn it. There are different kinds of magnetrons, but the function is basically the same. Electricity is sent through a rounded, rotating
This looks terrible. Why did he do it in pink like that? Mystery history. Magnetron.
magnet, and as the electrons are sent across the magnet platform in the center, transferring across to the outer edge of the disk, this process changes the properties of the electrons. Charging the magnet like this causes it to create radiation that lets off light. That radiation that's letting off light is the angel that's sticking out the end of the magnetron. I really hate videos that try to argue that the Germans were communicating with aliens or communicating with interdimensional beings or some shit to advance their technology during the 1930s and 40s. The German elite were really into the occult and worship to the black hole sun, but everyone did back then.
What?
Aleister Crowley made all that shit super popular in the 30s. There were no aliens. There were no demons. He was not chosen by God. All of those theories are just another way that people in the conspiracy community try to secretly glorify Hitler. And I made fun of all of that at the end of my UFO 3-parter that I released back in 2018. But infamously, that nefarious symbol that the Germans used and they wore on their shoulder was ripped from Eastern spiritual beliefs that are still practiced and recognized today. You will still see this symbol on temples that often have focus on health and well-being. Why is that? I've argued that ancient humans have always had electricity, a very weak, low-yield electricity compared to the system that Tesla gave us today, but there are a lot of possibilities for what kinds of different applications they could have come up with if they were wielding this electricity for thousands of years. You wouldn't need an electric motor to spin the magnets necessarily. If you hand cranked the magnetron with a gear system and passed that low-frequency electricity through it, you wouldn't be able to cook anything, sure, but you would be able to disinfect food or disinfect a wound, or you could sterilize surgery equipment. Imagine how ancient people could have used a microwave as a healing device or a power for longevity.
Yeah, they didn't do any
We
of them.
use microwaves in therapy today. The giants who used to rule the seas before the Greeks were called the people of Oculus. The Greeks called them the people of the eye. And historians are so dumb that they think that means that they were cyclopses. Like, literally, they thought that the Greeks believed the seas were ruled by giant cyclopses. This is my f***ing competition, guys. Seriously, this is what I'm up against.
I don't think there's any historians that think that there were cyclopses in the seas. I don't even know who you could be thinking of. They didn't think that. I mean, they had ships. They knew stuff about. Okay, it's Cyclopes. My bad.
Please send help. People of the eye means the people who see, as in the Watchers. These people were the last group of Watchers, or perhaps even continuing the Watchers' traditions in the Mediterranean Sea. There's an oral legend about Greeks who were rescued at sea by an advanced people who had ships that could navigate themselves. Ships that navigate themselves. Now that sounds like the craziest shit you've ever heard. I know, but I think that means that their ships had basic radar. What the f***? Why does this make sense? The very first modern magnetron was invented in Germany by a German. I think that those crazy conspiracy theorists are right, that they had some kind of technology just dropped in their lap in the 30s, but it wasn't by aliens. Someone here on Earth pulled that shit out of an archive. And I perhaps am the only man on Earth that has the authority to make an accusation like that, because I literally did that and proved the existence of garden machines. So I consider myself a bit of an expert on shit that was pulled out of archives.
What? He considers himself an We are working with the delusions of a man that I mean, what do you do with this? He is unhinged. That's just a crazy thing to say. I have looked into an archive, and now he thinks he proved garden machines, which is not a thing he's done. He has definitely proven that he made a video about them.
The more arms and segments that you add to a magnetron disc,
to prove a garden machine, you would in fact, Greg, have to apply and test your theory. The theory is not the proof, my dude. You have a theory, that's fine. I disagree with it, seems faulty on its premise. And then you just have to go around and prove. So make a garden machine, make a small one, make a big one. You know, that's what proof would be. You'd have to test and provide evidence. You should know that as an armored skeptic.
stronger the microwave can be. The microwave oven that I grew up with in the 1980s could melt steel, but with planned obsolescence, the magnetron in your oven today is probably a super simple one-piece magnet with 4 segments, enough to cook your sauerkraut sandwich. Now, I tried to warm you up to this.
Is that a Weird Al Yankovic reference?
Idea in an earlier video, but the black hole sun symbol is designed like a magnetron. This is another ancient symbol depicting the destroyer. One of the reasons why you'll see so many angels floating in the sky when the destroyer gets here is because she'll be microwaving all of the particles above our head. You're really gonna hate this part, but if you compare the outer disk part of the magnet, which is called the anode, with the black hole sun symbol that was on the castle floor, and then you compare the center magnet, which is called a cathode, with the symbol that the Germans put on their shoulder, well, I think you can probably see what I'm trying to tell you here.
That these both have many, I guess also spiders are Nazis, and cathodes and magnets. Anything with multiple octopuses get fucked. Fucking, I don't know, throwing stars. Any group of people who sit in a circle together in amphitheater. Coliseum. They're the same. They're not even the same shape. They're vaguely similar in their distribution of parts in their respective patterns. You know what I mean? Like, not the same thing at all. Very, very unlike themselves. But also a little bit aesthetically similar. In ways, there is a symmetry. It's just so stupid.
That just so happens to...
You know what else? Hold on. You guys ever seen a spinner rim? The spinners, dude. The spinners are also this.
To make a magnetron.
Do people still put spinners on their cars? I'm gonna throw this out there. Spinners never once have been cool. Not one time. They're the mullet of like hip hop culture, in my opinion, is the spinner. and I'll fight that fight.
They were bragging that they were using microwaves as weapons, the same way that the ancient empires used to put swords or bows and arrows on their banner flag to boast about their military strength. Now, all of the diagrams and information that I got for the garden machines, I got from scans that were in archives in Switzerland. There are several archives like that, for example, the one under the Vatican, that are packed full of ancient knowledge that nobody knows what's down there. A very select few people actually know what kind of information is even available down there. I made a joke in an old UFO video that UFO technology is from the old world before the Great Flood, and that melting face scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark represented the Germans unlocking that ancient technology for UFOs. Well, that's not too far off from the truth. That's not too far off from the story that I'm writing for my fictional movie. Likely, German scientists were experimenting with...
Such a weird guy. Why wouldn't you just own it? Why wouldn't you just say, yeah, I'm a fucking psycho? Like, What pretense is he trying to hide behind?
Magnetrons and microwaves, and they had no idea what was going to happen when they pumped that much electricity through a magnetron. And supposedly, there is an Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. Perhaps it's even the Ark of the Covenant, the one from the Bible. The ancient word for pyramids translates to fire within. The fire within a pyramid was a ball of plasma that sat between the wings of the angels, the cherubim, that are on the top of the Ark of the Covenant.
What functional purpose do reverse hip thigh wings have? You're telling me this baby cherub angel folds backwards and flies away, flapping their fucking thighs back toward their fucking spine. That's the biblically accurate cherub angel. Fucking beautiful. Wow, what a glory. Isn't God beautiful and not at all Cthulhu? Isn't God not at all just literally horrifying? These people are psychos, dude. $1. You had too many edibles? Breathe through it.
So, if ancient people knew about microwaves, imagine if a magnetron was inside of the Ark of the Covenant. Imagine that angel that's sitting on top of the Ark is that microwave. There doesn't necessarily need to be a magnetron in the Ark of the Covenant, but there has to be a large magnet. Because the angel sitting on the throne is not described as a simple spark gap, it's described as a ball of plasma. So you would need perhaps a large rare earth magnet to hold that plasma down in that position.
Yeah, more likely, not a thing that exists, Greg. That's actually my opinion.
Otherwise, the spark gap might arc upwards, and it wouldn't create the desired effect. Plus, there was a rumor on the internet for the longest time that the Ethiopian guardian of the Ark, who was never allowed to leave its side, would usually live an extremely short lifetime. And everyone's theory was that there were radioactive materials in the box. But a large rare earth magnet would pull all of the iron out of your cells, creating a very similar effect to radiation. After 10 years of sitting next to a giant magnet as its keeper, that would pull the iron out of every single one of your cells. And
is that true? If you hang out around magnets for a long time, will it just pull the iron out of your blood? That doesn't feel true.
the effects on your body would be nearly identical to radiation. It would just appear as if billions of particles had torn through your cell walls. Even just being near a rare earth magnet the size of my fist would pull the iron out of your eyeballs. You
I don't believe that. Is that true?
wouldn't be able to spend more than 2 or 3 minutes near that magnet before your eyes started to hurt. Guys, fucking magnets. I'm telling you. I know.
All right. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to profess that the dude has just lost his mind. It's gone. His mind is no longer a reliable tool for him to navigate his natural surroundings. To absolutely batshit stuff. Just incredibly batshit. Yeah, you can stand around magnets. I've never heard of that being a thing in my life. Maybe super crazy strong ones, but like they're all around us. They're all here.